Dr. Lisa Morgan stood in the main meeting room of the USS Harmony, watching the stars through the large window. She had been a xenobiologist for 12 years, but this was her first time meeting aliens. Real aliens? Not the ones from movies or books, but actual beings from another world. Captain Jake Sullivan walked into the room, his boots clicking on the metal floor. He looked nervous, which made Lisa feel nervous too. If the captain was worried, maybe she should be worried as well. "They will be here in 10 minutes, Jake said, checking his watch. "Remember what we talked about. Be polite, don't ask too many questions at once, and try not to stare." Lisa nodded. She had read all the files about the Zephyrians. They were tall, thin beings with large eyes and skin that looked almost see-through. They came from a planet called Zephyr Prime, which was about 40 light-years away from Earth. The Zephyrians had been watching humans for several years before they finally decided to make contact. The door slid open with a soft hiss. 3 Zephyrians walked in, and Lisa tried very hard not to stare. They were exactly like the pictures, but seeing them in person was different. They moved like dancers, smooth and graceful. Their large eyes seemed to take in everything at once. The tallest one stepped forward. "I am Ambassador Veltar," he said in perfect English. His voice was soft and musical. "We are honored to meet with the representatives of humanity." Captain Sullivan smiled and extended his hand. "Welcome aboard the USS Harmony. I'm Captain Jake Sullivan, and this is Dr. Lisa Morgan, our xenobiologist." Veltar looked at Jake's extended hand for a moment, then carefully reached out and shook it. Lisa noticed that his skin felt cool and smooth, like touching silk. "Please sit down," Jake said, gesturing to the chairs around the large table. "We have prepared some refreshments." The Zephyrians sat down carefully, as if they were afraid the chairs might break. Lisa had learned that their home planet had lighter gravity than Earth, so everything here probably felt heavy to them. "We are very curious about human culture," said the second Zephyrian, who had introduced herself as scientist Cathara. "We have studied your broadcasts and your history, but there are many things we do not understand." Lisa leaned forward. This was why she was here. "What would you like to know?" Veltar tilted his head, a gesture that Lisa found strangely human-like. "We have observed that humans engage in many activities that seem dangerous. We do not understand why you do these things." "Dangerous activities?" Jake asked. "Like what?" "Mountain climbing," Cathara said, counting on her long fingers. "Deep water swimming, racing in fast vehicles, jumping from high places with cloth wings." "Why do humans do these things when they could be hurt or killed?" Lisa and Jake exchanged glances. This was not what they had expected the aliens to ask. Well, Lisa said slowly, "I suppose we do those things because they're fun or challenging. They make us feel alive." The third Zephyrian, who had been silent until now, spoke up. "But surely survival is more important than fun?" "Of course," Jake said, "but we take precautions. We use safety equipment. We train before we attempt dangerous activities. The risk is usually quite small." Veltar's large eyes blinked slowly. "We find this very puzzling. On our world, we eliminated almost all dangerous activities centuries ago. Our society is built around safety and peace. We cannot understand why an intelligent species would choose to put itself in danger." Lisa felt a strange urge to defend humanity. "Earth is different from your world," she said. "We've had to deal with predators and natural disasters for millions of years. Maybe that's why we're more comfortable with risk." "Predators?" Cathara asked, her voice rising slightly. "What kind of predators?" "Oh, you know," Lisa said casually. "Bears, wolves, big cats, sharks. Nothing too serious." The three Zephyrians exchanged what Lisa could only describe as worried looks. "You have large predators on your world?" Veltar asked. "And humans live alongside them?" "Well, not exactly alongside them," Jake said. "But yes, they exist. Most people never see them. And attacks on humans are extremely rare." "How rare?" the third Zephyrian asked. Lisa thought for a moment. "Maybe a few dozen people per year are killed by wild animals in North America, out of over 300 million people." "A few dozen?" Cathara repeated. "That seems like a very large number." Jake laughed, but stopped when he saw the serious expressions on the aliens' faces. "I'm sorry, but on Earth, that's actually a very small number. You're more likely to be struck by lightning." "Lightning?" Veltar asked weakly. "It's when electricity comes down from the sky during storms," Lisa explained. "But that's even rarer than animal attacks." The Zephyrians were quiet for a long moment. Finally, Veltar spoke. "We were told that Earth was a peaceful world. Our survey showed that you have achieved global communication, space travel, and advanced medicine. We assumed you had also eliminated the dangers of your environment." "Not really," Lisa said. "We've learned to live with them. We build shelters. We avoid dangerous areas. We use technology to protect ourselves. But we haven't eliminated the dangers. We've just learned to manage them." "Manage them?" Cathara asked. "You mean you accept that some of your people will die from these dangers?" Lisa and Jake looked at each other again. This conversation was going in a direction they hadn't prepared for. "I suppose we do," Lisa said slowly. "But we also accept that some people will die in vehicle accidents, or from disease, or from old age. Death is part of life." Veltar stood up suddenly, his movement so quick that both humans jumped. "I think we need to discuss this with our council," he said. "We had not realized that humans still live with such primitive dangers." "Primitive?" Jake asked, his voice carrying a hint of offense. "I apologize," Veltar said quickly. "I did not mean to insult you. It is just that we eliminated large predators from our world over 1,000 years ago. We cannot understand why an advanced species would choose to keep them." "We don't keep them," Lisa said. "They're just there. They're part of the ecosystem. If we eliminated all the large predators, it would upset the balance of nature." "Balance of nature?" Cathara asked. "Is this balance more important than the lives of your people?" Lisa opened her mouth to answer, then closed it. How could she explain something so basic to beings who had apparently never had to think about it? "Maybe," she said finally, "we should show you some videos of Earth's wildlife. Then you might understand better." The Zephyrians looked at each other, communicating in a way that didn't involve words. "Yes," Veltar said. "We would like to see these videos, but perhaps we should prepare ourselves first." As the aliens filed out of the room, Lisa turned to Jake. "I think we might have a problem." Jake nodded grimly. "I think we might have a bigger problem than we realized." 3 days had passed since the first meeting, and Lisa was starting to feel more comfortable around the Zephyrians. They had spent most of their time in the ship's library, studying Earth's history and biology. Every few hours, one of them would ask a question that made Lisa realize how different their worlds really were. Lieutenant Sam Carter sat in the observation lounge, looking out at the stars while sipping his coffee. He was the communications officer, but he also loved the outdoors. Back on Earth, he spent most of his free time hiking, camping, and exploring wild places. Lisa walked in and sat down next to him. "How are you holding up?" she asked. Sam shrugged. "It's weird, you know, meeting aliens. I keep thinking about all the camping trips where my friends and I would sit around the fire and talk about whether we were alone in the universe. Turns out we weren't." "What was your favorite camping trip?" Lisa asked. "Last summer in Alaska," Sam said, his face lighting up. "I went with my brother and some friends. We hiked for 3 days into the wilderness. No roads, no people, just you, us, and the mountains. It was amazing. The door opened, and Veltar walked in with Cathara. They had taken to wandering the ship, observing human behavior. Lisa had noticed they seemed particularly interested in how humans relaxed. "May we join?" "You?" Veltar asked politely. "Of course," Lisa said, gesturing to the empty chairs. The two Zephyrians sat down carefully. They always moved like they were afraid something might break. "We were just talking about camping," Lisa said. "Sam here loves to spend time in the wilderness." Cathara tilted her head. "Wilderness? You mean areas without buildings or safety systems?" "That's right," Sam said, not noticing the worried look that passed between the two aliens. "Last summer, I spent a week in Alaska. Just me and my backpack, hiking through some of the most beautiful country you've ever seen." "Alaska," Veltar said slowly. "We have studied the maps. This is a very cold region with few human settlements." "Exactly," Sam said enthusiastically. "That's what makes it perfect. You can walk for days without seeing another person. It's just you and nature." "But," Cathara said hesitantly, "what if you become injured? Or lost? Who would help you?" Sam laughed. "That's part of the adventure. You have to be careful, plan ahead, bring the right equipment. But yes, if something went wrong, you'd be in trouble. That's why you don't take unnecessary risks." "What kind of risks?" Veltar asked. "Well, you have to watch out for bears, obviously. And wolves. The weather can change quickly. Rivers can be dangerous to cross. Oh, and wolverines." Lisa saw both aliens stiffen at the word wolverines. "What?" Cathara said very slowly. "Is a wolverine?" Sam grinned. "Nastiest little animal you've ever seen. About the size of a medium dog, but built like a tank. They're incredibly strong and absolutely fearless. I saw one chase a black bear. Away from a kill. A black bear. That's an animal that weighs 3 times as much as a wolverine." The two Zephyrians were staring at Sam with expressions that Lisa was beginning to recognize as horror. "You saw this creature?" Veltar asked. "Oh yeah," Sam said. "I was hiking along a ridge, and I heard this commotion down in the valley. I looked through my binoculars and saw this wolverine fighting with a bear over a dead deer. The bear was maybe 300 pounds, and the wolverine couldn't have weighed more than 40 pounds. But it was fearless. It kept attacking, and eventually the bear just gave up and walked away." "The bear left?" Cathara asked weakly. "Bears are actually pretty cautious animals," Sam explained. "They don't like to fight unless they have to. But wolverines will fight anything. They've been known to chase wolves off their kills, and wolves hunt in packs." Lisa watched the aliens' faces grow more and more distressed. "Sam," she said gently, "maybe you should explain that wolverines are pretty rare. Most people never see." "One, that's true," Sam agreed. "But they're out there. In fact, there's a good chance that Wolverine was watching me while I was watching it. They're curious animals, and they're not afraid of humans." Veltar stood up suddenly. "Dr. Morgan, we need to see these wolverines. Do you have visual records?" Lisa looked at Sam, who was starting to realize that he might have said something wrong. "Sure," she said. "I can pull up some footage from the ship's database." They moved to the main computer terminal. Lisa typed in her access codes and searched for Wolverine videos. The screen filled with images of the sturdy, dark-furred animals. "This is a wolverine," she said, pointing to the screen. "They're found across northern Canada, Alaska, and some of the northern United States. They're members of the weasel family, but they're much larger than most weasels." The video showed a wolverine walking through snow, its powerful build and confident gait clearly visible. "They're incredibly strong for their size," Lisa continued. They have powerful jaws that can crush bones, and their claws are perfect for climbing and digging. They're also very intelligent and resourceful. And humans encounter these creatures? Cathara asked. Sometimes, Sam said. But like Lisa said, they're rare. I've been hiking and camping for 15 years, and I've only seen maybe 3 or 4 wolverines. How many humans are killed by wolverines each year? Veltar asked. Lisa paused the video. Actually, wolverine attacks on humans are extremely rare. There have been maybe a handful of documented cases in the last century. They usually avoid people. But they could attack. Cathara pressed. Theoretically, yes, Lisa said. Any wild animal could attack if it felt threatened or was protecting its young. But wolverines are more likely to run away than fight a human. Yet you continue to enter their territory? Veltar asked. Sam nodded. Sure. You just have to be smart about it. Make noise so you don't surprise them. Store your food properly. Don't approach them if you see them. And if these precautions fail, Cathara asked, then you back away slowly and try to make yourself look big, Sam said. But honestly, you're more likely to be struck by lightning than attacked by a wolverine. The 2 Zephyrians exchanged a long look. Lisa was beginning to understand that they communicated with each other in ways that humans couldn't see. Dr. Morgan, Veltar said finally, we need to understand something. How many other creatures like this wolverine exist on your world? Lisa felt a sinking feeling in her stomach. What do you mean? Predators, Cathara said. Large, dangerous predators that could harm humans. Well, Lisa said slowly, there are bears, as Sam mentioned, and wolves, mountain lions, sharks in the oceans, some venomous snakes. But they're all relatively rare, and attacks on humans are uncommon. How uncommon? Veltar asked. Lisa thought for a moment. Maybe a few hundred people per year are killed by wild animals in the entire world. Out of over 7 billion people. A few hundred, Cathara repeated. Per year. That's actually a very small number, Lisa said quickly. You're much more likely to be hurt in a car accident. But people still go into the wilderness, Veltar said, knowing these creatures exist. Of course, Sam said. You can't let fear control your life. Besides, the wilderness is beautiful. It's peaceful. It's where you can really feel connected to nature. The 2 aliens were quiet for a long moment. Finally, Veltar spoke. We need to return to our quarters, he said. We have much to discuss. As they walked away, Lisa heard Cathara say something to Veltar in their own language. The tone sounded urgent, almost panicked. Sam looked at Lisa. Did I say something wrong? Lisa watched the aliens disappear around a corner. I think, she said slowly, that we might have just made first contact a lot more complicated. Navigator Amy Foster walked into the lounge, having heard the last part of the conversation. What happened? Sam told them about wolverines. Lisa said. Amy raised an eyebrow. So? So I think they're starting to realize that humans might not be as civilized as they thought. Sam looked confused. But we are civilized. We have cities, technology, art, music. We've reached the stars. Yes, Lisa said, but we've also kept our predators. And apparently, that's something the Zephyrians find very hard to understand. Amy sat down heavily. Great. First contact, and we've already scared them. Or, Lisa said thoughtfully, maybe they've scared us. I'm starting to realize that we might be very different species than we thought. Outside the window, the stars continued to shine, indifferent to the growing cultural divide between 2 species who were just beginning to understand how little they understood each other. Chief Science Officer Dr. Kevin Brooks received the call at 0600 hours. Captain Sullivan's voice sounded strained over the intercom. Kevin, I need you in conference room 2. Now, We have a situation with our guests. Kevin had been expecting this call. For the past day, the Zephyrians had been sending increasingly urgent requests for meetings. They wanted to know more about Earth's wildlife, specifically what they called apex predators. The term seemed to frighten them. When Kevin arrived at the conference room, he found all three Zephyrians sitting rigidly in their chairs. They had several data tablets spread across the table, all displaying images of Earth animals. Captain Sullivan and Dr. Morgan were there too, looking uncomfortable. Dr. Brooks, Veltar said without preamble, we need you to verify some information for us. Kevin sat down and looked at the tablets. The screens showed pictures of bears, wolves, tigers, sharks, and snakes. What would you like to know? Cathara picked up one of the tablets. Yesterday, we learned about wolverines. We have since researched your planet's fauna more thoroughly. We need to understand the full scope of the danger. Danger? Kevin asked. The predators, said the third Zephyrian, who Kevin had learned was called Mordim. How many large predators live on your world? Kevin looked at Captain Sullivan, who nodded encouragingly. Well, that depends on how you define large and predator. Creatures that could kill a human, Veltar said simply. Kevin thought for a moment. In North America, you have black bears, brown bears, polar bears, mountain lions, wolves, and coyotes. In other parts of the world, there are tigers, lions, leopards, jaguars, hyenas, crocodiles, various species of large sharks, venomous, snakes, and spiders. With each animal Kevin named, the Zephyrians seemed to grow more distressed. Venomous spiders? Cathara asked weakly. Some of them, Kevin said. Black widows, brown recluses, Australian funnel-web spiders. But spider bites are rarely fatal, if treated properly. How often do these creatures attack humans? Mordim asked. It varies, Kevin said. Bear attacks happen maybe once or twice a year in North America. Shark attacks are even rarer. Snake bites are more common, but most aren't fatal. What about tigers? Veltar asked. Tigers are more dangerous, Kevin admitted. In some parts of India, tigers kill several dozen people per year. But that's usually because humans and tigers are competing for the same territory. Several dozen, Cathara repeated. Per year, out of over 1 billion people in India, Dr. Morgan added quickly. The chances of any individual being attacked are incredibly small. Communications specialist Emma Davis walked into the room, carrying a cup of coffee. Sorry I'm late, she said. What did I miss? We're discussing Earth's predators, Kevin said. Emma sat down and looked at the tablets. Oh, cool. Are you showing them the dangerous stuff? Kevin noticed the Zephyrian stiffen at the word dangerous. What do you mean by dangerous? Veltar asked. You know, Emma said casually, the really scary predators. Like saltwater crocodiles. Those things are basically living dinosaurs. They can grow over 20 feet long, and they'll eat anything. Eat anything? Mordim asked. Well, anything they can catch, Emma said. They're ambush predators. They wait in the water, and when something comes to drink, they grab it and roll it underwater until it drowns. The three Zephyrians exchanged one of their silent communications. And humans swim in waters where these creatures live? Cathara asked. Some do, Emma said. But not where the really big crocs are. Usually. Usually? Veltar asked. Emma shrugged. Sometimes people get careless. Or drunk. Or they're just unlucky. Dr. Morgan shot Emma a warning look, but it was too late. What about the creatures called? Sharks? Mordim asked. Oh, sharks aren't that bad, Emma said. Most of them are pretty small. The dangerous ones are great whites, tiger sharks, bull sharks, and a few others. But shark attacks are really rare. How rare? Veltar asked. Maybe 60 or 70 attacks per year worldwide, Emma said. And most people survive? Most people? Cathara asked. About 90%, Kevin said. Modern medicine has made shark attacks much more survivable. But 10% die, Mordim said. Well, yes, Kevin admitted. But again, we're talking about maybe 6 or 7 deaths per year out of billions of people who swim in the ocean. Medical Officer Dr. Peter Hayes arrived, looking harried. Sorry, I was in surgery. What's the emergency? We're cataloging Earths. Predators, Kevin said. Ah, Peter said, sitting down. Are you telling them about the fun stuff? Fun stuff? Veltar asked weakly. The really dangerous animals, Peter said. Box jellyfish, blue-ringed octopus, cone snails, poison dart frogs. The stuff that can kill you in minutes. The silence in the room was deafening. Perhaps, Dr. Morgan said carefully, we should focus on the more common animals. But these creatures exist? Cathara asked. Yes, Peter said. But they're mostly in remote areas. The average person would never encounter them. What about the average person who chooses to encounter them? Veltar asked. Like the humans who go camping in Wolverine. Territory? Peter looked confused. You mean people who go looking for dangerous animals? Some people do that, Emma said. Wildlife photographers, researchers, adventure tourists. There are people who swim with sharks, or go tracking tigers, or search for venomous snakes. They choose to do this? Mordim asked. Sure, Emma said. It's exciting. And most of them know what they're doing. Most of them, Cathara repeated. Well, sometimes people get hurt, Peter said. I've treated people who were bitten by snakes, attacked by bears, stung by jellyfish. It happens. How often? Veltar asked. Peter thought about it. In my 15 years as a doctor, I've probably treated maybe 50 people for serious animal attacks. Most of them recovered fully. Most of them, Mordim said. A few died, Peter admitted. But that's the risk you take when you go into the wilderness. Risk you take, Cathara repeated slowly. Kevin was starting to understand the problem. On your world, there are no large predators? We eliminated them centuries ago, Veltar said. It was one of the first things we did when we developed advanced technology. We made our world safe. But that must have affected the ecosystem, Dr. Morgan said. We managed the ecosystem, Mordim said. We control the populations of smaller animals. We maintain the balance artificially. That must take a lot of work. Kevin said. It is worth it, Cathara said. No Zephyrian has been killed by a wild animal for over 800 years. But you still have accidents, right? Emma asked. People fall down or get sick or have mechanical failures. Very rarely, Veltar said. Our society is built around prevention. We eliminate dangers before they become problems. All dangers? Peter asked. As many as possible, Mordim said. We do not understand why an intelligent species would choose to live with unnecessary risk. But it's not unnecessary, Emma said. The wilderness is beautiful. It's where you can really feel alive. Feel alive? Cathara asked. You know, Emma said, the excitement, the challenge, the connection to nature. Some of my best memories are from camping trips where I was a little scared. You enjoy being scared? Veltar asked. Emma laughed. Well, not terrified, but a little nervous, a little on edge. It makes you appreciate being alive. The three Zephyrians were quiet for a long moment. We need to understand, Veltar said finally. You have the technology to eliminate these predators. You could make your world safe, but you choose not to. That's right, Kevin said. Even though people die, Mordim said. Even though people die, Kevin agreed. Why? Cathara asked. Kevin looked around the room at his colleagues. How could he explain something so fundamental to beings who had made completely different choices? Because, he said finally, without some danger, without some risk, we wouldn't be human anymore. We'd be something else. Something safer, Veltar said. Something safer, Kevin agreed. But also something smaller. Something that had given up part of what makes us who we are. The Zephyrians looked at each other, and Kevin could see that they were struggling to understand. We need to discuss this, Veltar said, among ourselves. As they gathered their tablets and prepared to leave, Kethara turned back to Kevin. Dr. Brooks, she said, are humans not afraid of death? Kevin considered the question. We're afraid of death, he said, but we're more afraid of not really living. The three Zephyrians left the room in silence, and Kevin wondered if they would ever understand each other. Dr. Lisa Morgan had spent the entire night preparing for this presentation. After the disaster of the previous day's meeting, she knew she had to find a way to bridge the gap between human and Zephyrian thinking. The answer, she believed, lay in evolution. The conference room had been converted into a makeshift classroom. Lisa had set up a large holographic display that could show three-dimensional images of Earth's prehistoric landscapes. Captain Sullivan sat in the back, along with several other crew members who had become interested in the cultural exchange. The three Zephyrians entered the room looking tired. Lisa wondered if they had slept at all, or if they had spent the night trying to understand how humans could be so reckless. Thank you for coming, Lisa said. I know yesterday's discussion was difficult. I want to try to explain why humans think the way we do about danger and risk. Veltar nodded. We are willing to listen, but we must warn you, we are having trouble understanding your species. That's exactly why I want to talk about evolution, Lisa said. I think if you understand how humans developed, you'll understand why we behave the way we do. She activated the holographic display. The room filled with images of ancient Earth, showing vast grasslands, dense forests, and roaming herds of animals. This is what Earth looked like 2 million years ago, Lisa said. This is where humans evolved. The display showed early human ancestors, small and vulnerable looking, moving across the landscape in small groups. Our ancestors were not the dominant species, Lisa continued. They were prey as much as predators. They had to survive in a world full of dangers. She changed the display to show the predators that had shared the landscape with early humans. Saber-toothed cats, cave bears, dire wolves, and massive hyenas appeared in the hologram. Kethara made a small sound that might have been distress. These creatures lived alongside your ancestors? They did, Lisa said, and they were much larger and more dangerous than the predators we have today. But humans survived, not by being stronger or faster, but by being smarter. The display showed early humans working together, using tools, building shelters, and making fire. Humans learned to cooperate, Lisa said. We developed language, tools, and social structures. We learned to plan ahead, to assess risks, and to work together to overcome dangers. But you could have left, Morgium said. You could have found safer places to live. Sometimes they did, Lisa said. But Earth doesn't have many truly safe places. And humans learned something important. Running away from danger doesn't always work. Sometimes you have to face it. She changed the display to show humans hunting mammoths, enormous creatures that dwarfed the hunters. Look at this, Lisa said. These early humans are hunting an animal that weighs 10 times as much as they do. That's incredibly dangerous. But they're doing it because they need food to survive. They had no choice, Veltar said. Exactly, Lisa said. And over millions of years, humans who were good at assessing risk, making quick decisions, and working together in dangerous situations had more children. The ones who were too cautious or too reckless died out. Engineer Tony Martinez raised his hand. Can I add something? Lisa nodded. I think what Dr. Morgan is saying is that humans are basically designed to handle danger, Tony said. It's built into us. When I'm working on a complex engineering problem, especially one where mistakes could be deadly, I feel more focused, more alive. That's probably my ancestors' survival instincts kicking in. You enjoy dangerous work? Cathara asked. I enjoy challenging work, Tony said. And yes, sometimes that means dangerous work, but I don't take unnecessary risks. I plan carefully. I use safety equipment. I work with a team, just like my ancestors did when they were hunting mammoths. Lisa nodded. That's exactly right. Humans aren't reckless. We're adapted to manage risk. There's a difference. She changed the display to show human settlements growing larger and more complex over time. As humans developed better tools and social structures, we became better at managing danger, Lisa said. We built walls to keep out predators. We developed weapons and strategies for hunting. We learned to predict weather patterns and seasonal changes. But you never eliminated the dangers, Mordim said. No, Lisa said. And I think that's important, because living with manageable danger kept us sharp. It kept us innovative. It kept U.S. human. Security Chief Rachel Barnes stood up. May I say something? Lisa gestured for her to continue. I think there's something the Zephyrians need to understand, Rachel said. Humans aren't naturally violent or aggressive. We're naturally protective. Everything we learned about handling danger, we learned to protect our families and communities. She looked directly at the three aliens. When a human goes camping in their country, they're not being reckless. They're using millions of years of evolved instincts to assess the situation, plan for contingencies, and make smart decisions. They're being as careful as they can while still living their lives. But people still die, Veltar said. Double quotes, yes, Rachel said. Some people die, but many more people live fuller, richer lives because they don't let fear control them. On our world, Cathara said slowly, we chose a different path. When we developed the technology to eliminate dangerous predators, we did so immediately. We saw no reason to live with unnecessary risk. That's not a bad choice, Lisa said, but it's a different choice. Your ancestors evolved in a different environment. What works for your species might not work for ours. She changed the display to show modern humans engaged in various activities: mountain climbing, deep-sea diving, exploring caves, and working in dangerous professions. Modern humans still seek out challenges, Lisa said. We're drawn to activities that test our abilities and push our limits. We call it adventure, or exploration, or simply living life to the fullest. But surely you could find safer ways too. Challenge yourselves, Mordim said. We could, Lisa said. And many of us do. But for some humans, the real challenge, the real satisfaction, comes from facing genuine risks and overcoming them. Tony nodded. When I successfully repair a damaged reactor, or when Sam completes a difficult hiking trail, or when Dr. Barnes handles a security crisis, we feel good not just because we succeeded, but because we overcame something genuinely challenging. Something that could have gone wrong, Rachel added. That's what I don't understand, Veltar said. Why do you need the possibility of failure to feel satisfied with success? Lisa thought about this for a moment. Imagine you're solving a puzzle, she said. If someone gives you all the answers, is it still satisfying to complete? No, Cathara said. It would be meaningless. Exactly, Lisa said. Now imagine that puzzle represents your entire life. If every danger is removed, if every risk is eliminated, if every outcome is guaranteed to be safe, does life still feel meaningful? The three Zephyrians were quiet for a long time. But people die, Mordim said again. Yes, Lisa said softly. People die. And that's terrible. But the alternative might be worse. What could be worse than death? Veltar asked. A life without meaning, Rachel said. A life without growth, without challenge, without the possibility of genuine achievement. We have meaning, Cathara said, but her voice sounded uncertain. We have art, science, philosophy, and those things are wonderful, Lisa said. But humans need more. We need to feel that we're testing ourselves against something real, something that matters. She changed the display to show Zephyr Prime, the aliens' home world. It was beautiful, with gleaming cities and perfectly manicured landscapes. Your world is amazing, Lisa said. It's safe, peaceful, orderly. But look at it from a human perspective. Where are the wild places? Where are the challenges that aren't controlled by technology? We eliminated them, Mordim said. We thought that was progress. It was progress, Lisa said. For your species. But humans made a different choice. We kept our wild places. We kept our challenges. We kept our predators. Even the Wolverines, Veltar said, and Lisa thought she heard something that might have been humor in his voice. Even the Wolverines, Lisa agreed. The room was quiet for several minutes. Finally, Cathara spoke. Dr. Morgan, are you saying that? Our species are fundamentally incompatible? No, Lisa said quickly. I'm saying we're different. But different doesn't mean incompatible. It means we can learn from each other. What could we learn from you? Mordim asked. How to be safe. Tony said. How to eliminate unnecessary risks. How to build societies that protect their people. And what could you learn from us? Veltar asked. How to live with uncertainty, Rachel said. How to find meaning in challenge. How to grow through adversity, Lisa nodded. Your species chose safety and certainty. Ours chose growth and adaptability. Both choices have costs and benefits. What are the costs of your choice? Cathara asked. People die, Lisa said simply. People get hurt. People live with fear and uncertainty. And the benefits? People grow, Lisa said. They adapt. They discover things about themselves they never knew. They feel truly alive. And our choice? Veltar asked. Your people are safe, Lisa said. They live long, peaceful lives. They've eliminated most forms of suffering. But, Mordim prompted, but maybe they've also eliminated some forms of joy, Lisa said gently. The joy of overcoming real challenges. The satisfaction of genuine achievement. The thrill of discovery. The three Zephyrians looked at each. Captain Jake Sullivan was in his quarters, reviewing the cultural exchange reports when the emergency alarm started blaring. He rushed to the bridge, where Lieutenant Sam Carter was already at his station, looking tense. What's the situation? Jake asked. Distress signal, Captain, Sam reported. A cargo ship called the Meridian. They're caught in an asteroid field about 6 hours away. Their engines are damaged, and they're losing life support. How many people? Jake asked. 12 crew members, Sam said. But here's the problem. The asteroid field is actively shifting. If we don't get them out soon, their ship will be crushed. Jake studied the display showing the asteroid field. The rocks were massive, some as large as buildings, and they were slowly rotating and colliding with each other. It was exactly the kind of situation that required split-second decisions and careful risk management. How long before we lose them? Jake asked. Maybe 8 hours, Sam said. But the longer we wait, the more dangerous it gets. The door to the bridge opened, and the three Zephyrians entered. They had been spending more time observing human operations since their conversation with Dr. Morgan. Captain, Veltar said, we could not help but hear the alarm. Is there danger? A ship is in trouble, Jake explained. We need to mount a rescue operation. He quickly explained the situation. As he spoke, he watched the Zephyrians' expressions grow more and more concerned. "Surely you will wait for proper rescue equipment," Kethara said. "There must be specialized ships designed for such operations." "The nearest rescue ship is 3 days away," Jake said. "These people don't have 3 days." "But the asteroid." "Field," Mordine said, looking at the display. "It's extremely dangerous. Your ship could be destroyed." "That's a risk we'll have to take," Jake said. He turned to his crew. "Sam, plot a course. Tony, I need you to prepare the engines for precision maneuvering. Rachel, get a security team ready in case we need to evacuate people quickly." Dr. Morgan had arrived on the bridge and was listening to the conversation. She realized this was the perfect opportunity to show the Zephyrians how humans actually handled dangerous situations. "Veltar," she said quietly, "would you like to observe our rescue operation? I think it might help you understand what we've been talking about." Veltar looked uncertain. "You want us to watch you risk your lives?" "I want you to see how humans manage risk," Lisa said. "How we balance caution with action. How we plan for danger instead of avoiding it." The 3 Zephyrians exchanged one of their silent communications, then nodded. Jake was already deep in planning mode. "Tony, what's our margin of error for navigation?" "In that field?" "Pretty slim," Tony said, studying his instruments. "The asteroids are moving in unpredictable patterns. We'll need to plot our course in real time." "Sam, what's the communication situation?" "Intermittent," Sam reported. "The asteroid field is interfering with signals. We might lose contact with the Meridian once we're inside." "Rachel, worst-case scenarios?" "If we get trapped, we could end up like the Meridian," Rachel said. "If we move too fast, we could hit an asteroid. If we move too slow, we might not reach them in time." Jake nodded. "Okay, so we need to be fast but careful, decisive but flexible. Sound familiar?" Lisa realized he was speaking as much to the Zephyrians as to his crew. "Veltar," she said, "notice that we're not just charging in blindly. We're assessing the risks, planning for contingencies, and preparing for multiple scenarios." "But you're still going," Kethara said. "Because people will die if we don't," Jake said simply. As the USS Harmony approached the asteroid field, the bridge became a flurry of controlled activity. Tony monitored the engines and navigation systems. Sam tracked communications and sensor data. Rachel coordinated the rescue teams. Everyone moved with practiced efficiency. "Entering the asteroid field now," Tony announced. On the main screen, the Zephyrians watched massive rocks drift past the ship. Some came uncomfortably close, and more than once, Tony had to make sudden course corrections to avoid collisions. "There," Sam said, pointing to a blip on his screen. "The Meridian, 2 kilometers ahead." "Any response to our signals?" Jake asked. "Negative. Their communications are down." "Tony, can you get us alongside them?" "It's going to be tight, Captain. There's a cluster of asteroids moving toward their position. We have maybe 20 minutes before they get crushed." Jake turned to Rachel. "How long to evacuate 12 people?" "If everything goes perfectly, 15 minutes," Rachel said. "But nothing ever goes perfectly. So we need to buy ourselves some extra time," Jake said. "Tony, can we push some of those asteroids out of the way?" "With our tractor beam, maybe," Tony said. "But that's going to use a lot of power, and we'll need that power for maneuvering." "Risk versus reward," Jake said. "If we don't move the asteroids, the Meridian gets crushed. If we do move them, we might not have enough power to get out safely ourselves." Veltar was watching this conversation with fascination. "How do you decide?" he asked. "Experience," Jake said. "Training. And sometimes instinct." "Instinct?" "The feeling you get when you've been in dangerous situations before," Lisa explained. "Humans develop an intuition for risk after dealing with it repeatedly." Jake made his decision. Tony, move the asteroids. Sam, try to re-establish contact with the Meridian. Rachel, prep the rescue teams. For the next 20 minutes, the bridge was a symphony of controlled chaos. Tony carefully used the tractor beam to nudge asteroids away from the Meridian, while simultaneously piloting the ship through the field. Sam managed to get brief communications with the damaged ship and coordinated the rescue. Rachel supervised the teams that crossed between the ships to evacuate the survivors. The Zephyrians watched in amazement. As the humans worked together, each person focused on their job but constantly communicating with the others. When problems arose, they adapted quickly. When new dangers appeared, they reassessed and changed their plans. "Asteroid coming in from starboard," Tony called out. "Big one. Can you avoid it?" Jake asked, "Not and maintain position near the Meridian." "Time to complete the evacuation?" 5 more minutes, Rachel reported. "Push the asteroid," Jake decided. "That'll drain our power reserves," Tony warned. "Then we'll have to get out of here on momentum and prayers," Jake said. Lisa saw Cathara flinch at the word prayers. "He doesn't mean literally prayers," she explained. "It's a human expression. It means we'll have to rely on skill and luck." The rescue continued. One by one, the survivors from the Meridian were brought aboard the USS Harmony. The asteroids continued to shift and move around them, but Tony's careful maneuvering kept them safe. "Last person aboard," Rachel reported. "Tony, get us out of here," Jake ordered. "Power levels are at 15%, Tony said. "This is going to be interesting." The USS Harmony began to navigate out of the asteroid field, moving slowly and carefully to conserve power. Several times they had to drift past large asteroids, relying on momentum and precise timing rather than engine power. "We're not going to make it," Sam said, watching the power levels drop. "Yes, we are," Jake said calmly. "Tony, shut down all non-essential systems. Life support to minimum levels. We'll make it." And they did, barely. The USS Harmony cleared the asteroid field with less than 5% power remaining, but all 24 people aboard were safe as the crew began the process of restoring full power and tending to the rescued survivors. Jake turned to the Zephyrians. "That," he said, "is how humans handle danger. Not by avoiding it, but by managing it." Veltar was quiet for a long moment. "You risked your entire ship to save 12 people." "Yes," Jake said. "People you had never met," Cathara added. "Yes. And you never hesitated," Mordine said. "We hesitated plenty," Jake said. "Every decision we made involved hesitation, calculation, and careful thought. But we didn't let hesitation paralyze us." Lisa stepped forward. "Do you understand now? This is what we've been trying to explain. Humans don't seek out danger for its own sake. We face danger when we have to, and we've learned to be good at it." "Your crew worked together perfectly," Veltar observed. "Because we've trained for situations like this," Rachel said. "We practice emergency scenarios. We learn from our mistakes. We develop procedures for managing risk." "And everyone knew their role," Cathara said. "That's crucial," Sam said. "In dangerous situations, you can't waste time arguing about who's in charge or what to do next. Everyone has to know their job and trust everyone else to do theirs." The 3 Zephyrians looked at each other, and Lisa sensed they were having one of their intense silent conversations. "Dr. Morgan," Veltar said finally, "we owe you an apology." "For what?" "We thought humans were reckless," Cathara said. "We thought you took unnecessary risks because you didn't understand the consequences." "But you do understand," Mordim said. "You understand the risks better than we do. You've learned to live with them, work with them, master them. We've learned to live with uncertainty," Jake said. "And sometimes that makes us stronger." Deltar nodded slowly. We see that now. On our world, we eliminated uncertainty by eliminating danger. You kept the danger and learned to eliminate the uncertainty through skill and preparation. Both approaches have merit, Lisa said diplomatically. Perhaps, Cathara said. But watching your rescue operation, we realized something. We could never have saved those people. Not because we lack the technology, but because we lack the